Alright, welcome back everybody to Altcoin Daily. Here at Altcoin Daily, you subscribe for our daily videos on everything going on in the cryptocurrency space. I believe that by investing in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, it can lead to life-changing wealth in the future. And even though the market is down right now, even though we just witnessed this flash crash, there are still plenty of reasons to think that Bitcoin is a good investment. And keep in mind, if you would have been in Bitcoin since the beginning, this all is nothing new. Bitcoin has pumped and crashed many times before, always consolidating at higher levels. Let's take April of 2013. Bitcoin rallied from $13 all the way to previously unheard of, all-time high of $230. This was a record rally. An unsustainable hockey stick that needed to correct and enter an accumulation period. Of course, the media started reporting Bitcoin dead, Ponzi scheme, bad investment. And about a month after this crash, despite Bitcoin being declared one of the worst investments of the decade, a young and up-and-coming economist and investor, Turr Demeester, gave a recorded presentation to a small room full of people on why Bitcoin is a good investment. Tuur addresses many things. He addresses what makes Bitcoin unique, how it will disrupt the current system. He breaks things down step by step, argument by argument, why Bitcoin is a good investment. He even gives price predictions. You have to watch this whole thing to get the full value out of it, but let me show you just a taste of his speech. And he starts off by addressing the elephant in the room. Is Bitcoin a bubble? Something we still ask today. Let's give it a look.
Evaluate the risks of Bitcoin without looking at everything else that's going on. And then finally, I'm going to give my thoughts about what we can expect perhaps for Bitcoin in the future price-wise, what kind of prices we might see in the future. So to get started, the big bubble argument, is Bitcoin a bubble? A lot of people have come to learn about Bitcoin only in the past 6 months, and what they've seen is a gigantic run-up in the price and then a big crash, a big panic, and then you see these kind of analogies you see up there. Is Bitcoin like the dot-com bubble? Is it over? The Nasdaq hasn't recovered yet from the levels of 2000, so are we going to see the same in Bitcoin? It's interesting to ask this question to people that have been around a bit longer in the Bitcoin world, and without exception, they're incredibly underwhelmed by these kind of things. People really shrug when they look at this and hear the objections, because they've seen a bubble already in 2010. Look at that. A big run-up and a big crash. Another bubble in 2011. It went up 1,000% from $1 to $30 and then crashed down to $2. And then, of course, the most recent one in 2013. So obviously there is something wrong with this idea of that Bitcoin would be some kind of traditional bubble. Let's first define our terms. What are we talking about? What is a bubble in economic terms? A bubble is defined as trade in high volumes at prices that are considerably at variance.
Alright, so does all this sound familiar? It's a fascinating presentation. I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video so you can watch the whole thing. But he goes on to give price predictions for the coming years, and he says that although Bitcoin is only worth tens of dollars right now, one day it could be worth thousands. And if you would have listened to his investment advice at the time, you could have profited immensely. Later that year, Bitcoin rallied from $68 to $1,000. Tuur proved he knew his stuff. That is, until the next crash, which happened shortly after, in the beginning of 2014, a year, as you know, when Bitcoin entered a 2-year bear market. Bitcoin was dead again. Imagine living through 2 crashes within 1 year. Would you have sold? Would you have given up? Or would you have held? If you had been one of those people who FOMO'd in at $1,000 and you didn't sell back when it rallied up, could you have held for 2 years? I mean, looking back now, I bet you wish you would have FOMO'd in at $1,000. Anyways, you know the rest. The rest, as they say, is history. So, what, that was 5 years ago when he gave this speech? What does Turr think about Bitcoin now? It's interesting. Turr wrote an article just a few months ago where he thoughtfully gave his opinion that 2018 will be a correcting year, a year of consolidation, and that he doesn't think will surpass all-time highs by the end of the year. However, in the same article, he admits that he doesn't really know, and there are plenty of reasons to think that the market might indeed go back up by December. But either way, Turr is still a long-term bull. And this is someone that you should follow in the space. He knows his stuff. I like this article that he wrote about 5 months ago. Why Bitcoin is the petroleum of our time. And in it, he compares our current banking system to that of the former whale oil industry, and Bitcoin to petroleum back in the day. I just want to read parts of it for you. It's no exaggeration to say that in the 19th century, the whole world was lit by whale oil. It fueled most of the oil lamps, and it also was used to produce the superior spermaceti candles. These were the top of the line, what everybody had, what everybody needed, sturdier candles that burned brighter and with less smell than those from animal fat or beeswax. So whale oil was an institution. The whaling industry, it had been growing for over 5 decades. It being very lucrative, the government had gotten involved decades ago and regulated most of the important aspects of whaling. It was a highly regulated industry. Think today's banking industry. Then, one day, kerosene was invented. And it didn't take long before the whole world market switched from lighting their homes with whale oil lamps to the much cheaper kerosene lamps. And after decades of strong growth and dominance, the age of whaling pretty much ended in a span of a couple years. And you can see here how the whale oil industry was on top for a long time, and then one day, all of a sudden, petroleum came and disrupted and revolutionized the whole industry. Anyways, this whole thing, it's a great read. Of course, there are many differences between oil industry from whales back in the day and the banking industry / Bitcoin now, but it is interesting the parallels that he draws. So I'm going to leave a link to this article in the description, and he goes on to say, of course, the main comparison is that the banking system will be disrupted by Bitcoin, just like the whale oil was disrupted by petroleum, because when you can find a better way to do things, one has no choice but to innovate. So, what is Turr's price prediction after 2018? Well, he's been relatively quiet about that for the moment. As far as I can read, as far as I can tell, I couldn't find anything. He really hasn't been giving any price predictions right now, besides just saying that the whole market has a lot of room to grow and he's a long-term bull. Now, the closest I could find is this recently quoted tweet from professional trader Peter Brandt, where Turr quoted and retweeted, "I'm a long-term bull on Bitcoin. I believe the narrative of $50,000, even $500,000 Bitcoin. Bitcoin is marking time before the grand show, another parabolic advance." All right, so right now, Bitcoin is at the lowest we have been all year. And in my opinion, now is a great time to start cost averaging. And it doesn't matter if you're putting in $1,000, it doesn't matter if you're putting in $50, as long as it's not more than you can afford to lose. I believe that no matter how big or how small the investment, it will pay off with major gains in the future, long term. This isn't going to happen tomorrow. I'm not even saying it's going to happen next year. Hold till 2020. Hold till 2025. We'll see what happens. Anyways, I believe that Bitcoin has a bright future ahead. If you want to follow Turr on Twitter, feel free to go to @Turr Demeester. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's @altcoindailyio, link in the description. And of course, the main way we communicate with you with our daily crypto videos, our YouTube channel, Altcoin Daily, keeping you up to date with everything going on in the cryptocurrency space. Feel free to subscribe to our channel if you found value today, like the video, and that's it. I will see you tomorrow.